Hello, this is Wes Bridle, and this is another Kingdom Calling economic update. We are periodically doing these to update the information that we gave in the Coming Storm video that we shot in November live in Austin. And if you haven't seen that, I highly recommend you do that. These are just glimpses of what's happened in the last week, whereas that gives you full context over what's going on in our economy and really what's behind it. So we're going to dig right in. If you want the bibliography for any of the information I'm talking about, I tweet these at Twitter at Wesbridel, W-E-S-B-R-I-D-E-L. Feel free to check those out, and if you have any questions, give me a call or email wes@kingdomcalling.com. Getting right into it, there's some good and bad news that's come out here in the last week and a half. There's a new jobs report, non-farm payroll employment of plus 162,000. But if we dig deeper in the number, we see 48,000 of those jobs are census employment, which we know is going away. And we see that the unemployment rate is unchanged at 9.7%, so not quite as good as it looks. We also see that the long-term unemployment rate got worse, a record of 6.5 million people out of work longer than 6 months. So there's some bad numbers in there. Also ADP, which puts out its own numbers, they're private numbers. They do the payroll stubs or processing for many people in America, and they said that private employers dropped 23,000 jobs in March, which was a surprise. Also, the Commerce Department said that construction slowed to its lowest in 7 years in March. So we've got some information that seems good. We've got a lot of still really bad underlying information coming out. Switching gears, the coastlines were opened up, although be interesting to see if that really happens, because a lot of it is subject to further study, but that's some great news. That would be very beneficial to our economy if we have that new revenue of drilling more of our own oil. CMBS delinquency. So commercial mortgages are showing real problems. According to RealPoint, they hit an all-time high of 6%. According to TREP, it's more like 8%, and the biggest spike up ever over a 30-day period in 30-day delinquencies. So massive problems, as we've talked about. We've said this would happen, and these things are getting closer to happening. Also, America is clamping down on foreign banks. So this probably doesn't affect you, so it might not seem important. But when nations get in trouble, they slowly start closing their arms against all of their people in the way that they handle their money. And this doesn't seem particularly important because it's again, it doesn't affect most people, and they haven't really changed a law on what you're allowed to do, but they are clamping down on things, and these are the first steps in monetary controls where they start telling you what you can and can't do with your money. This particular step didn't really change anything for you, but countries always go through the same steps, and this is another one in that direction. And then I just wanted to run through, there's an article called The 7 Biggest Risks in April that I tweeted out, and there were several things that I wanted to note here. 7-year Treasury note auction, the median yield was 3.29 versus 3.05 a month earlier. So Treasuries are showing significant problems. It talks about in April the leading economic indicators are pointing to a slowdown, and in mid-April there are several reports that come out. So in this article he's just going through and talking about some things that could cause a big slowdown or stop in the economy. I'm sort of the opinion now that we have several months that things are going to keep running, even though there's tremendous negative information that should show that this shouldn't happen. I've just got some reasons to believe that we have a few more months. But this article is pretty interesting because it shows several things that could bring us down here in April, just as far as market crashes and that sort of thing. Retail sales reports on the 14th, industrial production on the 15th, and then there's 2 on the 16th, housing starts as well as consumer sentiment. So again, if any of those were to come out bad, that could cause the market to crash. Greece will be put to the test. We did a separate video on the Greece situation, so if you don't know about that, please go back and check that out. But let's see, in April and then rolling over till the end of May, they have $15 billion of bonds that they need to roll over. So what Europe's been able to do, or hasn't really done so much of yet, in order to make that situation whole and healthy, is going to be tested big time in April. Again, because there's sovereign debt crisis throughout most of the Western world, we're all kind of linked in one way that has nothing to do with us. And on the other hand, the more people start to say maybe lending money to countries is risky, then the more they start to look at us and decide, wait a minute, we've always assumed that lending money to the United States is a safe bet. Is it really safe or is it risky? And once they start looking into the numbers, it's a scary proposition for us. So Greece having problems, Europe having problems is potentially a problem for us. April 15th looms as a huge situation. The Treasury is going to decide whether to label China as a currency manipulator or not. If they do, China doesn't like that, obviously. We manipulate our currency. They absolutely manipulate their currency. Pretty much every country in the world manipulates their currency. We do it in different ways. But if we decide to do that, they might decide to stop lending us as much money. They've already been reducing that for at least 3 months in a row now. And so if they pull back in any kind of a big way, that could be a serious problem for them. We depend on them to lend us money in order to keep floating this massive debt and deficits. So, that's an interesting thing. Also, we are our biggest ally in the Middle East, Israel, we are not playing nice with. We're treating them incredibly rudely, and it's looking like there's going to be issues in the Middle East, which means of course, there's a whole lot more that goes into that in the spiritual understanding, but just looking economically, the price of oil looks to be could shoot up, which has devastating effects on our entire economy. I'm gonna go straight from here into shooting another video, which I'll probably post the following day, and if there's a bunch of just some crazy information actually that happened last week, so that will be in the next post. If you have not seen the Coming Storm video, there should be a link right near this video where you can go and check that out. I highly recommend it because we're going to live through some devastating economic times. There is a beautiful spiritual component to this, but it is going to be unlike anything we've lived through before, and I'm trying to help you be prepared. If you have any questions, please let me know, and God bless you.